a different kind of loop is the while loop. And the while loop, it works more or less the same as running it continuously. Um, but there's a stop button or a stop condition in here. Oops. Right. So I just implemented exactly the same. You click on your loop, click left top corner, drag it down, right top corner, or right bottom corner, where you want to have it. You can click it again, and your loop is there. Alright, so this loop we can actually run as many times, and if we had enough of this loop we can say stop, and then we break out of the loop and we continue with the rest of the program. Alright, so how does it work? There's this gray gray border. Everything inside the loop is going to be looped, and here's a loop iteration, exactly the same as that we had with the for loop, so keeps count how many iterations did I already do. And here is the loop condition. And instead, with the for loop, before we started the loop, you needed to insert or input a value in there into the loop count, and then it executes 10 times. This loop continues as long as there is no green light on this loop count. So as long as I don't say stop, then this loop will continue. Alright, so how do I create a stop? It's fairly easy. We go to the Boolean palette. It's next to the numeric palette. It's a different kind of, it's a different data type. We're going to discuss that later. But for now, inside the Boolean palette, we have a stop button. And this stop button, this will give a true value. It's a switch. It can go two ways. It's either true or false. And if it's not false, then it's true. If it's not true, it's false. It's as easy as that. It's either true or false, 0 or 1, yes or no. And I can wire this up, just output, and connect it to the input of this loop condition. As soon as I press this button, I will get a true signal from this small block. This true signal will be transported to this loop condition, and if it turns true, this loop condition, then it will break out of the loop. So if I run my program right now, you can see it's running because this gray background is fully gray, there are no blocks anymore. And I cannot change anything in my block diagram. And this loop is constantly executed right now because this answer is false. I'm not pressing it. If I press it, this answer becomes true, and I break out of the loop. I can show you that again by creating an indicator, connect it to the loop count, the loop iteration, and go to the timing palette. And we're going to slow the loop down a little bit. So it needs to wait 500 milliseconds, which means it runs twice a second. If I run it right now, you can see that the loop iteration, it's constantly increasing until I say it's enough, and then I press stop and break out of the loop. It finishes the last loop iteration and then breaks out. Alright, so that's how a while loop works. And a while loop we use for almost everything. If we go to, let's do the calculation again. Just adding two numbers and create an indicator. Alright, so got the same calculation again. We're adding these two numbers with each other, and we're doing it inside the loop, which means if I start running the loop right now, my output value is live updated. So if I change my value in here, it directly changes into this because it just executes the calculation again, and it's still running the calculation, and it's still calculating what 5 and 8 is together because it's running this loop again. But when I press stop, we break out of the loop. Right, there is another way. There's a different function. what about everything that's outside of the loop? So right now, this numeric 3, output 1, let's call it output 1, is inside the loop. And if we go to output 2, it's outside of the loop. And if we run this calculation, then we can see that output 1 is constantly updating and output 2 stays 0. And if I break out of the loop, then this value is updated because this is outside of the loop. Same thing for my numeric control. If I run my control right now, the loop is already running, so I can change everything in numeric 2, but it won't change this value and it won't change that value. But it will change this value. So my starting value in numeric 2, that's what constantly is added to numeric 1. If I stop it, then we'll get the answers. Alright, so far the loops